Welcome to week 5 of K&A Bible. Today, Austin and I are going to be talking about the conversion of Saul.
Yeah, Saul. He took a big fall. Now his name's Paul. Jesus gave him that call. Now he's so tall, and he's a big baller.
All right, Austin, so as we said, today we're talking about chapter 9, as you spoiled for everybody last week in the episode and in your amazing rap, Saul, who does turn into Paul. But Saul, so he was a pretty bad guy. He persecuted a ton of Christians, and he'd go out and find people sharing the word, and he would persecute them and kill these Christians.
Yeah, that's pretty bad stuff.
It is.
And then, as everyone is pretty familiar with, Saul is then on the road to Damascus when Christ appears to him. Big light shines from the heavens, and he goes, he speaks to Saul, and he goes, I am the Son of God. And then Saul goes ahead and gets blinded. He's got scales on his eyes. He can't see. And around the same time, the Lord speaks to Ananias and says, there's this guy who you're very familiar with. He likes to persecute Christians, and you're going to take him in for a little bit. And naturally, Ananias is like, I'd rather not do that thing because he's probably going to kill me.
But then Ananias is like, I probably should, listen to God. It's probably the right thing to do. So he does. He goes and finds Saul in this, I guess at this time, and he prays for him, and he's like, hey, be healed. Like preaches to him right there. And as Austin said, the scales that were on his eyes completely just fall off and are gone. And he gets baptized right then and there. And that's when he kind of changes from Saul to Paul, I guess, because sounds better. I don't really know the main reason for that, but Paul sounds a little nicer than Saul.
Yeah. And it's important to note as well, as we found out very recently here, as our lovely producer, Sue Ellen, pointed out, that there are 3 different Ananiases in the book of Acts. So this is not the one that got smited for lying about the selling of property. This is a different one.
Yeah, Bible does go in chronological order.
Yeah. And in Acts 24, there will be a different one. So
yeah. So then he's baptized, he's saved. And so he goes from persecuting the Christians and killing the Christians to going out and sharing his faith and preaching to others. So he goes out then to synagogues, and he's preaching Jesus, and he's preaching the gospel to all the people there, and ultimately ends up in Damascus. And there's a plot from some people, from some Jews in Damascus to kill him. And some of his disciples and followers there were like, hey, we don't want you to get killed. So they come up with the immaculate escape plan, and they lower him through an opening in the wall in a basket. So escape plan 10,000. Great moves by Saul or Paul and his dudes there. But
yeah, I wonder if he tried to compress himself down into a really small basket, so then it was really uncomfortable, but no one would ever know that he was inside of there. If it was just a Paul shaped basket, and everyone was like, oh, there's definitely not Paul inside of there, we'll let that one go, it's perfectly fine. So after he escapes Damascus, he ends up in Jerusalem, and he's trying to join the disciples, but they're all super afraid of him still, because he was just 30 seconds ago killing all of their friends, and now he's like, hey, I'm one of you. And they're like, probably not though. And he's like, no, but I am, so you have to trust. And then they trust.
Yeah, my name's Paul. My name's Paul now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm different because I'm Paul, not Saul. Saul was that guy. I'm this guy. So that's what he does in Jerusalem. Then, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago with the circle of things that happen in Acts, it's bad thing, people were getting killed, good thing, Paul becomes Christian, and then people get healed. So at the end of chapter 9, there's this lady named Dorcas, and she dies. And then Paul's like, what if you did not that thing anymore? So she's raised to life, and a bunch of people come to faith because they see the miracles that Paul is doing.
And that is the end of Acts chapter 9. Jesus said, "Saul, I'm going to turn your heart into mine, just as I turned water into wine." See you next time.